I'm so excited to finally get started with the threading and winding the bobbin of the Husqvarna Viking Designer EPIC 2. Now we have tons of videos that we are doing for you. Check out the links below this YouTube video for the entire series of all these videos. Plus, if you're interested in all the cool sewing techniques on those quilts in the background, we have the Husqvarna Viking Stitching Cosmos online course. You can watch me do all those blocks and techniques. This is a great machine to do them on. And one thing, let's just get started. The bobbins on this machine are huge. So when you are working with this machine, make sure you're using the correct blue EPIC 2 bobbins. And we're going to also talk about quality of thread. So this would be an example of an embroidery thread. Usually it's on a cone. We're going to take one of the discs from your accessory bag and place that down. If you're just using one of these, you're going to place that down and then go straight up to the thread guide. Now, since we're coming over here to wind a bobbin, that's why I've got you looking at this side of the machine right now. This would be how you would do it with a regular spool of thread. But if you've got a spool that has a top on it, like this one, what we're going to do is find a spool cap to hold it in place so that thread can jump over the edge. So right now I am only going to be using one spool at a time, so let's just go ahead and set this here. You always want to go directly up to the guide right above the spool you are using, and then we're going to come down and around the little pre-tensioner. So there's a little hook, but we're going to be going around this little button, the little spring guy. You can get your fingers underneath and feel that he's spring loaded. We're coming around him, you might say counterclockwise, slip it under that button. And you might want to just hold onto this thread, give it a little floss so it goes all the way under. If it doesn't, if you've ever had a bobbin that winds and it's kind of loose and fluffy, it's because the thread wasn't underneath this little button. That's on every sewing machine, so it's good to know there. Next, you're going to take and look at the bobbin, find where the blue H is on the top, so we'll have that on the outside of the machine. We're going to take the thread from the inside out through the one hole that is available to us. So as we can still see that H for Husqvarna, that is going to be facing out from the machine. Place the bobbin on the bobbin spindle and then take the lever and push up. When you do that, you'll notice a bobbin winding screen pops up. You're going to hold the thread straight out to the side. Don't let go and push the go or play button. At this point, if you want, you can go ahead and stop that from winding and even use scissors to cut this thread off. You never want to have a little tail sticking out from the edge of that bobbin. So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to wind up the rest of this bobbin. Once it's full, it will pop off and you can take the bobbin all the way out. And this little white piece down here is a cutter. So if you come underneath and lift up, that bobbin is now wound and ready to go in the machine. And one thing I love about this machine is, remember that little mark? That's the only way that this bobbin is supposed to go into the machine, with that little H facing up. As you look, we have a bobbin that came with the machine. Push the little button to the right, that will pop off the little door. Take your bobbin out and replace it with your bobbin you just wound. So as it spins, as you pull the thread, it should spin counterclockwise. You're going to bring the thread all the way over to about 6 o'clock. There's a little groove right here. And I usually put my finger on the bobbin, and then as I pull up, click, you'll hear a little click. So from about 6 o'clock to 7:30, the thread is sitting in a tension area. Without the thread there, well, things just don't look good on the back side of your fabric. Continue bringing the thread all the way up and over the top part here. Follow the little arrow down to the lower edge. This is a little thread cutter also. I like to put the door back on, by the way. Close it and then pull. That thread is the perfect length that when we go to start sewing, it will come up with the first stitch. So remember this little pre-tensioner here? Well, we don't use any of that when we sew. So we're just going to take the thread out and remove it from this little groove here. We're going to take the thread in our hands, and from the front towards the back, I'm going to move my left hand underneath this silver bar and around the back side of the machine. Now right here, you're going to notice there is a little fin. It doesn't matter which side of that you go on, but when we get to twin needles, you'll notice that we'll put one on one side and one on the other. Make sure your presser foot is up, so if it is not, go ahead and touch the up button. That opens up the tension disc. As we lay the thread in there, here's what I want you to do. Come underneath this little part where we change directions to come up to the take-up lever, and take your hands and floss back and forth just a little bit, and that makes sure it seats the thread all the way in the tension area. Next, bring your thread up. You're going to come in on the right, all the way back and down on the left, and you'll feel and see that it will hook into the take-up lever. If the take-up lever isn't at that highest position, go ahead and touch your needle up-down button one time so it will bring it up to where that needs to be for the thread to easily lay in there. Okay, next part is the needle threader. Our customers tell us this is the best part of the machine. Now, it doesn't sound as exciting, but trust me, once you get to using it, you wonder how did you live without it. So the next thing you're going to do is thread through the very last guide at the top of the needle. Take your right hand all the way back and flip it in and behind. Next, lift up the thread till it hooks into this little arm, all the way into this little mouth. You can click it in and it will even hold. And then on the left side of the machine, there's another thread cutter. Take the thread from the back and towards you, and it will cut that thread. At this point, you'll touch the needle threading button and sit back and watch it happen. That thread, you can leave it right there, or if you prefer, take the thread and slide it underneath the foot and towards the back. Now let's do a quick little test to see if this looks correct. Now I do have, before I do that, I have foot A on, which is for the IDF, the integrated dual feed. So reach behind the machine and pull down on that lever, and it will sit right into position. So that's like having feed dogs on the top of your fabric, matching up with the feed dogs underneath your fabric. Step on your foot control, everything will start to sew. And if it sounds good, you did it right. Reach up and use the scissor button. That will go ahead and cut your thread and lift your foot up. And if your stitch looks the same on the front as it does on the back, you have threaded it correctly.